Hello, welcome back to 026 Motoring once again. My name is Bill, and in today's episode we are going to analyze this car here. This is a Toyota Fortuner in the Crusade trim level. So if you are new to 026 Motoring, we normally shoot car videos, car reviews, and we also help clients source clean cars. We run pre-purchase assessment on those cars such that we make your car ownership journey easy. So welcome to 026 Motoring once again. Let us learn more about this 2016 Toyota Fortuner. So the Toyota Fortuner actually is let me say a popular car. It needs no introduction actually, because this car is let me say it's a popular car on the Kenyan road. No, the Toyota Fortuner is actually a Toyota Hilux which is covered. Basically it's built on the Toyota Hilux platform, and then it plays in a segment where the competition are also based on pickup trucks. For example, while this Toyota Fortuner is based on the Toyota Hilux, we have the Isuzu MU-X, which is based on the Isuzu D-Max. We have the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, which is based on the Mitsubishi Triton platform. We also have the Ford Everest, which is based on the Ford Ranger platform. It can also compete with cars like maybe the Chevy Trailblazer. Those are the main rivals to this car. Basically SUVs which have been derived from pickup trucks. So the Toyota Fortuner is actually a Hilux which is covered differently. It has actually a similar mechanical DNA as the Toyota Hilux, only that the suspension tweaks at the back are what may distinguish this car from a Toyota Hilux, because this one is meant to be a little bit comfortable because it's a 7-seater compared to a Hilux, which maybe you can use at construction sites to carry things at the cabin. So the engine options are the interior crafting, how it looks from the front or from the face is pretty similar. The difference is actually on how the ass looks like, and then this one is a 7-seater, the Hilux is a 5-seater, but everything else mechanically looks from the face pretty similar. So let's get straight into how this car looks like. Matters looks, this car actually has a bulb fitted on it. It may actually, let me say, deter me from explaining how the Fortuner looks like, but I guess you can still get it. So up front, from year 2015, that is when this generation of the Toyota Fortuner came about, because it's the second generation, because the first generation came about in like 2005. So in 2015, the headlights of the Toyota Fortuner were made a little bit slim. Of course, they are very bright actually during the night. They were made a little bit slimmer, and then the grille was also made somewhat smaller. For this trim level, you have this Fortuner badge up front here, because this one actually has let me say, these aftermarket bull bars. They have managed to install aftermarket lights here, which can actually be very bright at night. So up front, when you're looking at this car, it's pretty similar to many Toyota Hilux. Actually, from a distance, you cannot tell, if you're looking at the face, you cannot tell whether it's a Toyota Fortuner or it's a Toyota Hilux. That is what you can see on the face. It actually has an aggressive face, and then the ground clearance, when you're looking at this car, it's a car that should be able to go anywhere, do anything, and most importantly, bring you back home, because you can see the ground clearance here is pretty solid. And because this one has actually been tweaked with and the bump has been removed, this one will actually have a very good approach and departure angles. If you are into off-roading, you know what approach and departure angles mean. On the side profile, you can see this car actually comes with a 18-inch alloy wheels, which have actually a very thick rubber, meaning this car should be able to absorb any road, should be able to actually maneuver on any road you are in, whether it has potholes or not, because you have a very thick rubber here, and the ground clearance actually for this car is pretty good, because you are looking at around more than 20 centimeters of ground clearance actually. Coming from the previous generation Toyota Fortuner to this one, Toyota, let me say, kind of improved the looks for this Toyota Fortuner, because you can see the trucks here, the B and C pillars are actually meant to make it look like a little bit trendy, because you can see they are actually have added even a chrome finishes from the front to the rear. Looking at the rear profile for this Toyota Fortuner, you can see it actually looks pretty good. You have these slim tail lights, and then because these are Crusader trim level, you have these Crusade badge down here, you have the Fortuner badge on this tailgate. It actually looks pretty good if you ask me from the rear, and it's actually an improvement from the previous generation. Welcome to the cockpit of this 2015 Toyota Fortuner. You can see it has the same cabin actually like Toyota Hilux, but this one is a high trim level. That's why you'll find it coming with the leather seats with this electronic adjustability. It's, let me say, it maintains a minimalist interior. It's a car that should not be over engineered, because when a car is over engineered, there are many things that can go wrong. So they managed to keep this interior pretty, let me say, simple, because there is not much of functionalities inside here if you ask me. So matters accommodation space wise, this Toyota Fortuner 2015 is actually very accommodating, because I'm actually an average person, and you can see I still have an amount of good headroom. The amount of knee room is pretty good. You are not going to struggle if you're going to be a driver or a co-driver in this Toyota Fortuner, because it is accommodative, and the designers were very generous if you ask me. The second row of this Toyota Fortuner is also pretty accommodative. This is the farthest a person can stretch the driver's seat to the backwards, and you can still see I have let me say, the amount of knee room here is still generous. Of course, I'm not going to drive this car with this driver's seat at this position, so if I'm going to adjust it ahead, a person seated here will actually have more than enough room to play with. And then the reason why you'll be buying a Toyota Fortuner maybe instead of a Toyota Hilux is because of the 7 seats. Let's see how they look like. Now, accessing the third row seat in this Toyota Fortuner, you just use this lever here to flick these seats, and that's how you adjust them, and then that is how you get to this back of this Toyota Fortuner. Now you can see at this back, let me adjust the seat this way. Well, I'm not sure if the lighting will allow you people to see how I'm seated, but then it's cramped up. I'll not complain, especially over short distances, but over long distances these seats will only suit people who are either vertically challenged or let me say kids, because the way you are seated may not be actually that comfortable, especially for long distances. Well, let's know what is under the hood of this Toyota Fortuner. This bonnet is actually very heavy to lift. Now it's raining on the outside. Let me shield myself here. Now under the hood of this 2015 Toyota Fortuner lives a 2.8 liter turbo diesel. Actually it's normally called the 1GD, and it makes around I think around 185 brake horsepower and a massive or a healthy 450 Newton meters of torque. Now this 2.8 liter 1GD is married to a 6-speed automatic transmission, which sends drive to all the four wheels of this car. Because this is an all-wheel drive car, okay, this is a pure off-roader, which should take you into the forest and bring you back home. It has to, of course, be a 4-wheel drive car. Now this is one of the engine flavors, 2.8 1GD. Another engine flavor is normally called a 2GD. It's also a diesel. It's a 2.4 diesel, and in that case for the 2.4 liter you can actually find it with a 6-speed manual gearbox, and in some cases you can actually find it being a 2-wheel drive, but most of them are 4-wheel drive. Now a third engine flavor which I'll not recommend, but it's also there, it's normally a 2.7 liter natural aspirated petrol engine, what is normally borrowed from the Land Cruiser Prado. That 2.7 liter natural aspirated petrol, it's normally called the 2TR. It's actually also paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission, and then it also drives all the four wheels. So those are the 3 engine flavors you can get for a 2015 Toyota Fortuner. In the previous generation we used to have a 2.5 liter that was diesel, that was the 2KD, or a 3000cc, what we normally used to call as the 1KD. That is what you are not going to find for the previous generation, that is the 2014 Toyota Fortuner or backwards. Now speaking of engines, most probably if you're purchasing a Toyota Fortuner, you must have known that there are other cars like the VW Touareg, the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE or ML, the likes of the Porsche Cayenne. What will make you buy a Toyota Fortuner? Now, reliability. This 2.8 liter 1GD or the 2GD 2.4 liter or even the 2TR, the gutless 2.7 liter petrol, they have a tried and tested reputation for reliability. I normally call them bulletproof when it comes to reliability, because these are very simple engines to live with, because they can actually run everything pretty good. They can rake in like a 500,000 kilometers without breaking a sweat. So they are engines that you can actually depend on. So the reason that the Toyota Fortuner is going to appeal to many people is because of this drivetrain and powertrain. It is actually very reliable. It's an engine that will take any amount of abuse, and because the car is meant to be a pure off-roader, it's something that you can trust. It can go anywhere, and most importantly, it can back home, because the engine here is actually trouble-free. That is one of the strengths of the Toyota Fortuner. So with this 2.8 liter 1GD diesel engine, fuel economy figures, most probably if this car you're going to drive it well, it's going to hover around 10 or 10.5 kilometers per liter, which is pretty good for a car that weighs over 2 tons. That is very important. The reason I was discouraging the 2.7 liter, the 2TR, is it's because it can actually be very thirsty, and then it's not as powerful as the diesel flavors. When I'm saying powerful, don't mistake it for maybe speed. Of course, the diesels are actually faster than that petrol one, but then these cars have the diesels have a very good amount of torque, which means that you'll keep RPMs low, and that is how you achieve very good fuel economy. Now, should you buy the Toyota Fortuner? The price tag for 2015 Toyota Fortuner, the 2.8 with a 2.8 liter, hovers around 6.5 million shillings. Actually, that is the same price range for even Land Cruiser Prados. That is the elder sibling to this one. Actually, the Land Cruiser Prado also shares the 2.8 liter with this one and the 2.7 liter. But should you consider this one ahead of a Land Cruiser Prado? If it is me as a car reviewer, I'll go for the Toyota Fortuner ahead of a Land Cruiser Prado. But the Land Cruiser Prado is actually more comfortable than this one. Now, the reason you're going to consider the Toyota Fortuner, it's because of its dependability, because of its reliability reputation, and then it's something you can actually count on. It will never skip a beat as long as you service it religiously. Of course, don't expect it to drive as good as German cars, the likes of Porsche Cayenne, the likes of VW Touareg, the Audi Q7, the Mercedes-Benz ML class, because the Toyota Fortuner actually is built on what I'll say it's called the body-on-frame chassis, just like the elder sibling, the Land Cruiser Prado. Of course, I'm repeating this. I already said it when I was reviewing the Land Cruiser Prado. Cars that are built on a body-on-frame, basically there is a frame and then the body is crafted on it. They may not drive well, especially when it comes to tight handling spots. When you're comparing the ride quality of the Toyota Fortuner versus the German rivals, the Germans of course drive better because they have a unibody or monocoque design of a structure. That is why you'll find most of them, they are actually pretty good to drive. But then you can never go wrong with a Toyota Fortuner when it comes to reliability, and that is what has made that is the winning formula for the Toyota Fortuner. That's why it will outlive, outgun, and do everything better for a long time over the aforementioned drivers. The Toyota Fortuner's reputation has actually made it to become a best seller in the class. It actually outsells the Ford Everest, the Pajero Sporter, the Isuzu MU-X, and the Chevrolet Trailblazer, because it's something people are synonymous with. When you're looking at the build quality of this car versus the other ones, of course they are still as good, but then it has actually built its reputation. That's why it's outselling everything in the class. So I think you've now known more about the 2015 Toyota Fortuner. We also help clients source clean cars in the Kenyan market. Alright guys, see you on the next one.